This coaching changes way too early. Newcomers preview on the Big 12 Experience. Part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head over to Cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use that promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus today. And we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pick'em all season long and win 100 times in NBA, MLB, NHL, college hoops, and more. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to get a 100% deposit match today. And last but not least, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download that Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Code SGPN to get 50% off and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everybody, to the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Tuesday, April the 2nd, it is Final Four week, and we're going to dive into some coaching changes that are moving along. It's coaching carousel season, transfer portal season for fucking sure. But if you're wondering who you're listening to, I am Moneyline Mac, and we're talking Big 12 hoops, which means I am joined by a man who's a walking contradiction because he was born in Provo, Utah. He's got family in Ames, Iowa. He lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. Co-host of the Ryan and Rush Show, Rambling Rush. What is up, my friend?
I guess it took Jamal Shed for Houston to go down, huh?
Yeah.
I know we're a little late on that, but
brutal.
Too bad. Just not a little disappointing season for the Big 12. You figure one of those guys should be in the Final Four games, but hey, we got America's team. So I guess go Wolf Pack and
the Pussy Pack, baby.
There you go. And we'll see what happens from there. But no, that's too bad. Because I mean, everyone in the world knows Houston would have beat Duke. I mean, it's incredible that they were able to still hold into it, but hey, at least Duke lost. So not too much to complain about.
It is a little bit validating that at least Duke didn't get a fluke Final Four out of it. Although there's no such thing as a fluke Final Four. Injuries are part of the game, but it just sucks when arguably the best guard in America is the guy that goes down. But third man in the box, he's a Jamal Shed fan himself. He had Houston winning in the preseason, so he nailed that. He is fighting a family civil war in Norman, Stillwater, Waco, Fort Worth. He is a 6 times in champion, a.k.a. the Big 12 guru, Troy Chewning. What's up, man? I know you survived that.
Also had Houston winning the NCAA tournament.
Me
so
too.
Didn't nail that one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, barely survived Nats Park. We actually ended up going back out to Walters last night to watch the Whites versus Blacks in the LSU versus Iowa women's game.
How about that game?
There in downtown DC, it was very heavily LSU favored. Just
shocking.
Just throwing that out there. But the Nats Park was cool. Opening day, always fun, but they're not going to be, the greatest, most fun baseball team to watch all the time. We're going to be down there hanging out and like talking to people more than I'm watching the goddamn games. So
there you go.
We've had too much fun with the Nats all the way up until 2019. So we were blessed with a lot of fun baseball, and now we get blessed with a lot of shitty baseball. So it just goes around.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to chat. AJ's trolling. $5. Appreciate the donation. I was 1-5 because the White Sox got rained out, or it did not. So get it right. That was a voided bet. Yeah, I had a shit day. I was 5-1 the day before. Then I was 1-5. So it kind of evened out. I ate some shit. Gave away my nice Easter Sunday winnings. But yeah, fuck you. And today's a new day, man. I honestly don't really ever recap. I just give out the 6-pack and let it ride and see where we're going. I think I'm down a couple on the season, though. But, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Shout out to the grounds crew in Chicago for at least not letting me go 1-6. I went 1-5 because the bet got voided. It was just heavy favorites yesterday. No dogs were really barking. And the Yankees won't ever fucking lose, apparently. I tried to fade the Yankees. They, I guess, are going to go undefeated this year with Juan Soto. But let's talk Big 12. Obviously, disappointing tournament. That's part of the deal. It's a single elimination. It's chaotic for a reason. NC State's not a fucking what's it called? They're not one of the top 4 teams, but they're playing one of the 4 best teams in the country right now. It's amazing the run that they've been on.
They're a banked in 3 away from fucking nothingness. It's crazy.
They fucking beat Duke twice in this run. They beat Carolina in this run. They beat Virginia. They beat Marquette. They beat everybody. It's incredible. Hopefully, one of these Big 12 teams can go on a similar type Cinderella run next year, and maybe it'll be Oklahoma State because Steve Lutz takes the job officially yesterday. He comes over from Western Kentucky after 1 year. He gets them to the tournament. Amazing what happens when Stansbury is not there anymore, and they get a real fucking coach to coach his team up. Did a great job. Finished 22-12. Had Marquette on the ropes at the half. He came over from Corpus Christi before that, where he finished 47-23, won the Southland both tournaments both years, won the regular season his second year. So overall in 3 years as a head coach, 69-35. He is a Matt Painter assistant. He is a Greg McDermott assistant. Troy, I mean, you're an Oklahoma State fan. I think you got to like this hire.
Well, you got to at least be somewhat happy about this hire. Like we were talking about beforehand, kind of being surprised when they first acted like they were going to stick with Boynton and then decided, you know what? No, that was just, smoke and mirrors, blah, 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 blah. I think it's a pretty dang good hire when you think about the fact that it's going to be hard to get someone to come to Oklahoma State. Like, you're going to need a few of those stepping stone guys to probably get the program back into the tournament for a few years. And maybe you get, a game or two run out of like a 10 or 11 or 9 seed or something like that. And this guy's gone to the tournament 3 straight years. So at least you know what your goal is right here. They're just trying to get a team in the NCAA tournament again. And seems like a pretty good hire to go that route.
Russ, what do you think, man? Sometimes the non-sexy hires is a good one.
Yeah. So I know there's concerns at Oklahoma State, like a lot of schools in that region, right? That football dominates the resources. But this Oklahoma State team, I mean, the NCAA, of course, did them no favors, but they're, when they make the tournament, obviously it's good for the Big 12, but they've had some fun years. Like, obviously, Cade Cunningham, I mean, he was the player of the year. You had Marcus Smart on that team at one point. Like, this is, I mean, it seems like they're so far from that, but they're really not. So I do think this is the guy to get him back on the map. I know one of the thoughts was, do we need to kind of bring in a coach with a name to kind of get more people back on board with the basketball program? But I think this was the right hire. I think sometimes, like you said, the non-sexy pick, the guy that's kind of just done that conservative, nice linear growth is the guy that comes to a place like Oklahoma State where, I mean, yeah, you're in the Big 12 and yeah, you have a recent history to back up with basketball, but you're going to have fans that are more lenient. You don't have to do this overnight, and you can still make a splash in your first year. And I mean, it is still a school with resources. I mean, I know all you guys, you can tell a difference when that stadium is packed versus when it's not. And that stadium needs to be packed. And I think Steve Lutz is the guy to get them there. I mean, I picked actually Western Kentucky to beat Marquette in that game. I was trying to do what you did last year, Ryan, when you picked Princeton over Arizona. And like, I know, you got to make high risk, high reward to win your bracket pools, but to me, that didn't seem crazy. And for most of that game, it actually wasn't a crazy pick. And then of course, Marquette, I mean, this guy knows how to coach. So Troy, I think Oklahoma State's in good hands, their basketball program.
I'm pretty happy with the hiring of a bald guy too, because I was very happy with the Caps hiring their bald coach, because he kind of looks like Lex Luthor. Like, he's got that evil, I'm going to get it done at all cost look. And if that's what they want to go with at Oklahoma State, that's cool too. This also could be a guy that catapults from here, but they'll take that if he gives them 2 or 3 years and they make the tournament 2 or 3 of those years, they're probably A-okay with that. And
we have to worry about that at West Virginia.
I mean, Stillwater is just not a sexy, like, you're not going to get a sexy hire in Stillwater unless you're, you might get Bill Self for the last 2 years of his coaching career with nothing and then see ya. You know, like that's about as sexy as you could probably get in Stillwater right now, at least.
Well, and I like, and this will transition over to the next candidate that we're going to talk about, Darian DeVries. I love that Lutz comes from 2 winning programs. I mean, Matt Painter and Purdue, they've been a model of consistency since the 2000s. I know they've had their March heartbreaks, but they've proven that finally they could get over the hump finally and get to the Final Four. It will be ironic if they do lose to NC State that they would lose to a double-digit seed again, but this time they would be in the Final Four.
Hey, you got to think that Oklahoma State would be happy with getting to the first round of the NCAA tournament as a higher seed and getting beat. Well, like imagine if Oklahoma State's a 6 seed and they lose like that 6-11 matchup or whatever. Like,
no doubt
they can't be mad about that. They got to be pretty excited about that.
Well, that's what I've been saying. Like, yeah, it sucks that the Big 12 took it on the chin this tournament. They had a bad tournament, but I remember in the mid 2010s the narrative was the same way, and it was just keep being in the hunt, and you're gonna knock down the door eventually. And then they did it with 2 straight national champions, almost 3 in a row with Texas Tech. They've had 70% of their league in the last 5 tournaments go to the Sweet 16 or later. But it's time to start getting West Virginia and Oklahoma State back to where these programs belong, and they're not included in that 70%. So I like Lutz too, coming from McDermott. McDermott was another guy that's supposedly choked, and he's been to an Elite 8 and Sweet 16. So that gets me to the next guy who's also a Greg McDermott guy, because I like the Greg McDermott tree. I think they've been successful at running programs. Rush, I know you gave your initial thoughts. It's been a week since the Darian DeVries hire. Mm-hmm. He hit the portal hard, you know. He worked some magic on that plane ride from Des Moines, Iowa. Got a commitment with the son, Tucker DeVries, 2-time Missouri Valley Player of the Year. But just your thoughts 1 week into the DeVries era in Morgantown.
So it's been kind of slow, not in a bad way. I actually don't mind that, because I think there is something to those that feel like they have to, you know, the portal hits or you have a new coach and you have to go out there and rush things, where you don't do your due diligence and you don't get necessarily the type of team that you want. I don't know if we talked about, I don't think we did on this show. I know we did on Ryan and Rush, his press conference, but I have the thumbnail from that episode. He wants a locker room full of winners. He's more looking for a team rather than these great, high talented individual players. Now, you know, his son being a part of that obviously helps, but you've talked about it, Ryan, having your son on the team. I mean, it can kind of be that extra motivator for you, because it's like you have guys in practice and maybe they're like, you know, screw this coach, F this, that sort of thing. But, you know, and then you look over at his son, it's like, well, he has to live with that. So maybe our lives aren't that bad, you know. But then also you've talked about too, right? Like AAU, all that, you know, sort of thing. Maybe those players that have played with Tucker in the past don't want to go, you know, to Drake, but they would go to West Virginia. So we'll see how that turns out for the transfer portal. But going back to Coach DeVries, I think it's a great hire. Obviously at Drake, 6 seasons there, 20 plus wins each season. With each team, he did it a little bit different. Talk about Greg McDermott. I mean, he was at Creighton forever, right? 16 years, something like that, where I guess he was colleagues with a Lutz there. So that'll be funny when WU and Oklahoma State play. But I think something that really stuck out to me the most about DeVries's hire, Coach DeVries at West Virginia, is he's coming in with that Midwest Big 12 knowledge. I know, and we'll talk about it, this conference is expanding. Conferences aren't as regional as they once were, but the Big 12 is still the Midwest. He's coming from Iowa, was a player at Northern Iowa, Creighton, obviously part of Nebraska, and then Drake back in Iowa. Like, his knowledge, he's been around Iowa State. Like, he knows how the Big 12 operates, whether he's been directly involved or not. And I really like that he's bringing that skill set to West Virginia, because that's something I feel like we've always needed. And as much as, you know, we love Bob Huggins and everything he's done for us in that state, that is something Huggins felt like he lacked. Like, Bob Huggins definitely felt like more of like a Big East coach than a Big 12 coach. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, he came in during the Big East era.
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
But the good thing is, obviously, in basketball, the Big East, Big 12 trend, like the toughness, and that's what stayed. But like, there is, I feel like, a little bit of a Big 12 language that I think DeVries will be able to transcribe more.
I agree. Troy, what's your thoughts?
Do we think there's a chance that he also hits the Greg McDermott answer when they ask Darian about, like, how are you able to get Tucker DeVries to transfer to West Virginia? And he does the old, well, I sleep with his mom.
He should. Yeah, because, I forgot about Doug McDermott.
Doug always.
Dougie Buckets is what they call him. He was a fucking bucket.
That was always Greg's answer. He always talks about how he has the inside, like the literal inside track. I think the excitement of the kind of offenses that the Greg McDermott coaching tree is going to have, just the additional freedom that he seems to give offensive players, will probably really help in recruiting, getting a couple of extra guys there, because they know the coach isn't going to yell at me when I just hoist these up, baby. I'm like Caitlin Clark out here. And you kind of need that when you get to the tournament and you're trying to make a run as a team. You need a couple of guys that aren't afraid to go take over. They can't just be the defer to one guy all the time. I mean, you see that with Dalton Connect. Nobody else on the team did a damn thing, and you're stuck. Everybody's scared to take the shot but that guy. Hopefully, things get spread around a little bit. Hopefully for West Virginia, getting to start the year with the whole team should really be a bit of an advantage compared to the past season.
Yes.
Maybe you get, maybe you get hot right off the bat and you get to pad yourself with an extra few wins instead of, forever feeling like you're fighting up the hill for the whole season. But 6 straight years of 20 wins and not having the exact same offensive play style over and over and over again is pretty impressive. You got to be at least very pleased that you have a guy that can adjust to his talent level instead of just force guys into a system.
Agreed. And we'll talk who's more likely to get to the tournament in year number 1 and flip it. But before we do so, we got to talk about, well, of course, SGPN. That's what you're listening to right now. The Sports Gambling Podcast Network is home to 20-plus gambling podcasts, all free. Let me repeat, free. This week's featured show is the MLB Gambling Podcast. It's opening week. Hopefully they didn't go 1 for 5 yesterday like myself. So get on over there to MLB, get their free daily picks in their podcast, and get over there and subscribe to the MLB Gambling Podcast. What are you waiting for? And we're brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head over to cut.com and go head-to-head with whoever you want. I teased it. Who do you think's going to go to the tournament? Steve Lutz in year number 1 at Oklahoma State, or Darian DeVries in West Virginia, year number 1? You can set the odds -110, or if you think there should be some more juice, you can do so over at Cut. They got leaderboards. Love cut.com. I like the Utes tonight getting the points against Indiana State +3.5. So get over there, cut.com. That's KUTT.com. Use that promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit today. And we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has been home all season long for player, props, fantasy sports, everything higher, lower. Troy, you've been killing it over at the college football to start the year. In the fall, now college basketball. You got anything cooked up maybe on NHL?
Yeah, now we gotta. You already know it's hockey. We gotta go for scraps, and it's not quite Thursday through the weekend, so we can't depend on golf quite yet. But yeah, we're going with hockey. We got Timo Meyer on the New Jersey Devils, got moved up to the top line and has been putting the puck in the back of the net nonstop. We're going higher than half a point for him. We're going higher than half a point for JJ Peterka tonight for the Sabres against the Caps. The Caps tend to give up points to other teams' faster players. So I know he has 2 goals in 2 games against the Caps this year. We're going higher on his half a point. We're going higher on Sam Reinhart's half a goal. He's the best goal scorer in Florida, and he's got 52 so far this year, and they're going to keep giving you plus juice on a guy that is going to hit a goal every 66% of games. Go ahead and take that. So those 3 together, 6-1.
6-1. You heard it. Stack them on top of each other. Sign up with that promo code TCESGPN and get your first deposit match up to $100, as well as instant pick'em special. Visit Underdog Fantasy at the App Store and register promo code TCESGPN for your first deposit double to $100. Must be 18 or older and present in the state of Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms applies. Concerned to play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ncpgambling.org. All righty, we are back on the Big 12 college experience. All right, so we could do a micro macro prediction here. Micro, who you think will have more instant success between DeVries at West Virginia or Lutz at Oklahoma State? Macro, who you think will be there longer or / better overall? Micro, definitely DeVries, because his son is going to be an instant impact guy. And we know learn through anything with NIL and portal, that guys like to play with one another that have history. So whoever DeVries played with on the circuit in AAU, he can attract some talent to Morgantown right away, rather than compared to Lutz, who's going to have to build it more brick by brick, in my opinion. So I like DeVries definitely in the short term. Long term, I'm going to still go DeVries. I mean, I know I'm a little biased because I'm the West Virginia guy, but I really like both hires. I'm not going to lie. I think they're both good pieces. I think Lutz probably would be more likely to jump ship to another job than DeVries. Rush, how about you?
I kind of feel like this is like the same hire for each school.
Well, they both are Creighton guys.
Both Creighton guys. It's just like, let's ask. Should we ask Kennedy? Where's Kennedy? I feel like Kennedy just needs to decide.
Kennedy has a good opinion on this one.
Yeah,
do we all agree, Micro, that DeVries is more set up right now to win than?
I think that's because of it's not necessarily coaching style. It's just resources and the NIL era. And like we do agree, while we're coming in pretty optimistic for West Virginia's football season, I think almost everyone would say West Virginia is a basketball school in our history. I mean, and I think because of that, there's always this need to be in March. And I think that need for us burns hotter than Oklahoma State's.
Yes. And
so that's why I think it's not necessarily coaching, but more of a like which culture you're going to, what resources are behind that. But I think Lutz, I think because of how much he has to overcome more than DeVries, I think he could actually prove like his ceiling might be higher because of that and could actually get an even better. Like, whereas DeVries may be like, hey, I'm good at West Virginia. I feel good. Like you could see Lutz maybe being like, wow, he turned around Oklahoma State and now he's going to this blue blood. So
you go to Creighton. I mean,
exactly.
McDermott leaves, or I although it seems like the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be the more coveted jobs now with the TV agreements. But Troy, what's your take, man?
I mean, I think that DeVries definitely has a chance to be the better coach right off the bat in the eyes of people that are paying attention and watching. I just have the feeling that West Virginia is ready to dump some money into the basketball program compared to Oklahoma State. Like, I don't have that. Like, Oklahoma State just hired this guy. We know that they're going to turn around and dump a bunch of money into NIL and get some players. Like, it doesn't really feel like that is the route that they're going to go. It feels like West Virginia might be willing to, actually put some consistent money in and make sure that they're ending up in March on a regular basis. For that reason, I think DeVries is going to look better, but I also kind of hinted at it. It feels like Lutz is a stepping stone hire. Like, it feels like he hangs out in Stillwater for 2 or 3 years, maybe gets them back to the tournament like year 2 and 3 in a row, and see you later.
I think I agree with you. It's more about who wants to win. I know that sounds cliche, but like West Virginia is more of a basketball job than Oklahoma State. Although we all agree that there is rich tradition for Oklahoma State. Where do you see these two teams early? I mean, we don't know with the portal. Do we think one of them at least gets to the dance next year? Because over the last couple of years, whether it was Grant McCassin at Texas Tech this year, Jerome Tang last year, TJ Otzelberger 3 years ago. Last 3 years, the first-year head coaches come in and got this thing flipped and got him to the tournament. Do we think DeVries or Lutz gets him to the tournament, if not both? Rush?
DeVries, yes. I think that leans more towards I could see West Virginia being somewhere between a 9 and 11 seed next year.
I agree.
I probably more that 11 seed, and I think there's kind of an advantage to being an 11 seed clearly over an 8 or 9 seed. I mean, it's you're basically, hey, beat the 6, whatever. We don't need to go down, but it is like if you're actually a really solid 11 seed, it's definitely better to be that. Lutz, if he could, I don't think his thing should necessarily be postseason next year. I think his is about, does he have culture buy-in again? Because here's what I think Troy kind of basically alluded to this, right? With DeVries, I think like the money's already here. Like DeVries, take this money and run, go for it. I think with Oklahoma State, they're like, all right, let's show us that you can be somewhat successful first, and then we'll give you money. And that's so I think if he's able to get Oklahoma State to like the NIT next year, like a solid NIT seed and actually do decent, I think then the money comes in after that. Then Oklahoma State's in the tournament the following year. But I think kind of going back to the whole, I think it's just West Virginia's ready to pour money into basketball, where Oklahoma State's like, we're still going to maybe give our little extra bit of money to Gundy, but let's see what
we need a new gun range.
Yeah, exactly.
We need a new campus gun range so we can keep up with those damn West Virginia Mountaineer rifle teams.
Real quick, let me hit an ad one more time before we talk the 4 newcomers, because we got 4 newcomers coming into the league, and we're going to talk Manscaped. Top of the morning, everybody. Summer's coming. Get over to Manscaped and freaking clean that leprechaun with that. Get rid of that winter bush and get over there with the lawnmower 5.0 and watch your confidence bloom with them spring flowers. Embrace the season and join over 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our special offer. Go over to manscaped.com, code SGPN for 20% off, free shipping. After Manscaped, you're going to say, hello, spring, let's go. You're going to feel fresh, ready to go down to the beach, go wherever you want to go to the golf course. You can't have a bush freaking holding you back on the fucking driving range, trying to hit a fucking pitch and wedge from 145 in, trying to stick it there. Get it rid of the freaking friction and get on over there and use that freaking 5.0 lawnmower. That's what Troy does. He gets on over there. He's freaking mowing the grass before anybody can even wake up, and freaking boom, he's ready to go for the day. That's why he's shooting 65.
We need to ask him if we can do a commercial of me like shaving a bush while I'm on the triplex, like while I'm mowing the fairway.
He's shaving his bush while he's shaving the bushes on the damn golf course. How about that? Multitasking at its finest. 20% off free shipping. Code SGPN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off your free shipping. SGPN at manscaped.com. Nothing like a spring cleaning in your pants. That's fantastic. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame bets. The sports analytics platform for parlays, props, game lines. Research all NBA soccer with historical data. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft a more intelligent, data-driven parlay. Download that Hall of Fame bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Code SGPN to get 50% off. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. All righty. Back on the Big 12 experience / lawnmower experience. That's the new name of the show. Before we get up on out of here, we'll do another portal episode when we get some more names. There's still so many fucking moving parts, and I hate talking about it.
I mean, we could be in the portal.
Yeah,
you never know. We could all enter the portal.
We should report on who's not in the portal. Fuck the who's in the portal. Newcomers coming in now. One of them is still playing. Utah plays tonight in the NIT semifinals. Craig Smith will be entering, I think, year number 4 or year number 5. Arizona State, big year for Bobby Hurley. They always underachieve. Colorado got to the tourney with Thad Boyle. They were this close to get to Sweet 16. Eddie Lampkin's already in the portal for the 70th time. And Arizona, the team that can't get it done in March, is coming to the Big 12. Rush, thoughts on the 4 newcomers? Do we see a Houston-like impact with Arizona, maybe? I mean, what's your thoughts on these 4 new basketball newcomers?
Well, from a basketball perspective, yeah, I mean, Arizona has the most likely to be that Houston type. And I think the Big 12 schedule helps them. Like I said, I don't think you can. I think our prediction, right, was the Big 12 schedule was going to help Houston, and you're a Jamal Shed injury away from that being correct, because the way they were stuck in the game, I mean, still shows, hey, that's, our Big 12 resiliency can keep us in this game, whether like I think we agree, like if they were in the American again this year, they probably wouldn't have escaped Texas A&M, right? So I think
correct. I agree with that.
Yeah. So I think you'll see the same with Arizona because Arizona's kind of that bounced. Like what was it? 05 the last time I really remember Arizona. Like they almost beat Illinois. And then Illinois lost to North Carolina in the national championship. That's the last time I really remember Arizona. Like, was that might have been final? I don't remember if that was Elite Eight or Final Four.
They've been to the Elite Eight a couple times. They've had a shitload of March heartbreak. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Sean Miller couldn't get over the hump. Now Tommy Lloyd can't get over the hump. But if we've learned anything, just because it hasn't happened means it won't happen. For example, Matt Painter, Tony Bennett. Maybe Tommy Lloyd's or Mark Few. Mark Few, they said couldn't get to the Final Four forever. Maybe Tommy Lloyd's the next guy, and maybe a Big 12 helps him. Troy, what do you think?
Can't hurt him.
I think the sleeping giant is the one that nobody seems to be talking about. But I know the issue with Colorado's football program is going to be how loud and how noisy that locker room is, and just they're talking about they have Warren Sapp on staff now, and we were bullshitting on the text message like, God damn. That's a loud locker room. There's a lot of distractions. But you know what? There's not a lot of distractions in the basketball locker room, and they're reaping the benefits of people just pouring fucking money into the NIL Colorado collective. Yeah. I'm scared of the Buffs. I feel like the Buffs are half a step away from putting their name in as like one of the top teams in the league instead of just being in that second tier. So that's the one I'm worried about, mostly because we already know that Arizona is probably going to win a good amount of regular season games and challenge for, top seeds in the tournament.
I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with Utah basketball. I'm glad the Holy War's back. But the thing with Utah, they're doing a good, and Utah was a great team in the 90s basketball. Yeah. They lost the national championship, right? To Kentucky?
Yes, and they made Elite Eights other than also, David, shout out to David. I met him in Vegas. He's a diehard Wildcat. Big 12. I agree. I think the Big 12 helps them in March, like it was going to help Houston. I think we all agree Houston been in the Final Four. But hey, I've been thinking about it a lot. This just watching this tournament. Does Big 12 officiating hurt the Big 12 when they get to the dance? Because it's a wrestling match every single night, and then you get to the fucking tournament, and you can't fucking touch a guy like Zach Edey.
That's the reason why the ACC has success in the NCAA tournament, because their league games are the most similar to the NCAA tournament games.
Yeah, there's no fans in half the games. I do agree with that. Rush, what do you think? I'm starting to buy into that more and more, that the physicality of the Big 12 ends up hurting them once they get to March, because they're not allowed to fucking rough up the game like Iowa State and Houston. I mean,
I think that's a first weekend thing, because I feel like this last weekend, like they were letting them outside. I felt like, I mean, Edey's a separate issue, but I think
it seemed like they let him play in the first two rounds, and it seemed like they blew way more fouls in the last weekend.
Really? I felt like it was
every
opposite.
Team but Purdue had over 20 fouls in their games. And of course, Purdue only had 13
Maybe
fouls.
That's why I felt like
Edey didn't have a foul in the first 3 minutes or 33 minutes of the game, because he does nothing wrong and he's the best basketball player ever. Yeah. Fuck, that game was so stupid.
It really was. Forever that used to hurt the Big East in the tournament, where it would be a football game all from January to March, and then they get in the tournament and they would be calling hand checks, and it was like, what the fuck? So I don't know. Maybe the league needs to look into that, how they're going to officiate games.
But do we want that though?
No, but you also got to look out for your teams come March. I don't know. I just felt like the physical teams, they were not able to be as physical. But I mean, it is what it is. I just think I don't know, man. I kind of feel like they don't let them play as much in the first round for some reason. Now, I agree that I feel like they let them play more later in the rounds. And I see Joel in the chat talking about the refs. I know that but a lot of these refs are also multi league refs. So,
league guys, yeah.
Yeah, they'll do the Big 12, but they'll also be in the Big 10, they'll also be in the SEC, and they'll be in the Valley on Sunday. So I feel like it's whatever the commissioner, however he wants it. So I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I feel like Texas Tech wasn't able to be as physical. I felt like Iowa State was definitely not able to be as physical. But also you got to make shots in the tournament too. So, all right, guys. You got anything before we get up on out of here? Any last thoughts, Troy?
Do we think Zach Edey gets the preferential treatment here in the next matchup too?
I actually think
yes,
they're going to call it tight. I think they're going to actually call some fouls on him. I feel like it's so mainstream right now that they're actually going to give a couple fouls to make people happy. But, dude, my whole thing, and me and Noah got into it. He's saying they do foul. I think we all agreed that they foul Edey. But you're telling me
Edey fouls everybody else too.
Yes, you're telling me that the guy that's in a collision every other play only has one foul in 30 minutes. Like,
there's no way that you play that center position with 16 rebounds and 3 blocks, and you don't get a foul in the first 33 minutes of a 40-minute basketball game.
Yeah,
it's just outrageous. But everybody loves DJ, so you never know. I feel like DJ Burns actually has the advantage with his agility and footwork over Zach Edey, to be honest.
With his width?
Yeah, he's got he's girth. Yeah.
You should add another tab there, Ryan, that says like the too early. The early, and then we can start talking about NC State, and then we can claim them as a Big 12 school.
Yeah,
we might as well start talking to all the ACC schools because they're probably going to be in the Big 12 here in a couple.
Yeah, this is a big battle for dudes this weekend. Like if DJ Burns can pull the upset and it matters, width matters more than length. Look out, guys! We're going to be up this weekend. That's the case.
You're going to see all the fat guys trying to get into
all
shape.
The fat dudes are going to be out at the bar loving it.
He's going to be so good in the rec league in a couple years, whenever he decides to hang it up.
What, the UFL? He's going to be a DC defender soon, baby.
Yeah, yes. Rush, what you got going on?
Dude, we're in that time of year, man. Final Four, then we got the Masters, and then NHL, NBA playoffs, man. You kind of think and then, of course, now the transfer portal era. You always think like at the end of basketball season, there's a lull, but it's kind of like a false sense of a lull. It actually kicks in. But then like once that NHL, NBA and everything settled, the baseballs, you're like, oh, there's nothing going on.
The funniest thing is the WNBA draft is in like 7 days from now. they have it like 7 days after the girls' championship game. It's so funny. It's just right into it. I always forget that. And then someone posts about like, yeah, this is cool, but Caitlin Clark's about to get drafted 8 days after winning the national championship.
Yeah.
Hey, go South Carolina. Go Cox, baby.
Go Cox. Go Cox. All right.
Lights.
That'll do it for another edition of the Big 12 Experience. We're back later in the week to talk Big 12 baseball because we're right on to the next sport, right on to the diamond. I am at Moneyline_Mac. He's at Rambling Rush. He's at Troy Chewning. We are the Big 12 College Experience, and we are out of here.